Welcome to the next in our series of interviews. This morning, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity as an international issue, which it really is. It doesn't have borders. And we're very happy to have Mr. Haren Shah. He's going to be our first guest in this particular series. So welcome, Haren.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Good morning or good evening. Haren is the CEO of Peach Computers in India. And he's a long-time technology leader. And so to start out this interview, I thought, Haren, to just ask you, can you tell us a little bit about what does Peach Computers do and what is your market?
Well, see, our primary activities are focused on making the government and industries more efficient and more effective with the use of IT and electronics. So that has been the main focus. Since 2004, we have been active more in software and less in firmware. So what we have been doing, we have two separate divisions. One area is dealing with the government, and that is software and services related to government, and the second is related to industry. So in case of government, what we focus on is G2C services, which is government to citizen service delivery. And we found that most of the software and IT structure was oriented to the service delivery people, meaning the administration in government. And more emphasis was needed for the receivers, that is illiterate farmers and villagers who were actually the target recipient. So we focused on convenient and simple software facilitations for the beneficiaries. So there we have three products. One is a grievance redressal system. One is the document and file tracking system. And then we have the service delivery system. What we have, what they call is called Jan Seva Kendra. Actually, we won an international Stockholm Challenge Award for one of our facilitations in Gujarat state, related to government to citizen service delivery. To make sure that what government intends to give to citizens actually reaches citizens. The second is the industry related part. And for industries, we are actually doing business intelligence products. The product name is called Genie, Genie, Genie ERP software. So we are focusing on micro, small, and medium scale enterprises who can easily adopt systems-driven management and they can grow amidst the challenging environment. So that is our focus for the last 25 years.
Yeah. That's amazingly creative, and you've accomplished so much in that. So let's turn a little bit to the cybersecurity side and talk about maybe not necessarily your business, but can you, what sorts of risks predominate in India or Asia, or what are the top things that come to mind when you think of cybersecurity risks? And then after that, let's talk about what kinds of solutions are there, what kinds of solutions are needed, and what kinds of solutions are out there in India these days.
Sure. Regarding the risks, I think we have experienced this need for cybersecurity during our endeavors with the government, and there are two major areas that I would like to focus in this. One is related to digital payments. Okay, see, government wants to make sure that money reaches the beneficiaries. Okay, the beneficiaries can be laborers, can be villagers, can be farmers. So what government does, is instead of, let's say someone wants to buy kerosene or gas cylinder for cooking. Okay. So cooking gas is available for 700 rupees in the market, and for the beneficiary, it is for 300 rupees. Okay. So what the government does is makes that citizen buy this cylinder from government at the cost of 700 rupees, but 400 rupees of subsidy automatically gets deposited in that person's account. So that goes through one single click and digital payment. Now the major issue is this has to be very secure, because it has to go to the right person, right account, and the person must know that it has happened, because these people are not really friendly with bank accounts, but they have to have the bank account for this. So this transition is happening. People used to manage only cash, and now they are doing digital payment. And digital payment is handled through information systems, and cybersecurity is extremely important. We have gone through cases where payments had gone to incorrect accounts and had to be reverted and things like that. So they call it makers and checkers. One person ensures that everything is okay and certifies that okay, payment should be made, and the checkers have a system to make a random check on the system and then let that pass. So it is a coordination between government departments, bankers, and independent agencies who make sure that right things happen. So that is a major threat. The second threat, which I consider is the second most important, is terrorism. Terrorism mainly sponsored, mainly facilitated through social media. Terrorism, this COVID-19 things, a lot of information, people don't know where this information comes from. And government has become very vigilant. In fact, there is one independent government body to really handle all this metadata and try to see, who pushes such information on the networks. So this is very, very crucial for our situation.
That's very interesting. So I think we have the same problems in the US with fraud in all the recent payment, the stimulus payments associated with the pandemic. People, you read about people getting millions of dollars that they shouldn't get, but you're talking about sort of an ongoing subsidy, I guess, that affects a lot of people in India. Then the second one, social media, you called it terrorism. So is it information terrorism you're thinking about? People using information to disrupt society? Is that what you meant by that?
Well, what I meant was the real terrorism and communal issues and all, where people spread facts, forward messages and spread things. Yeah. And these messages, the origin of these messages are very suspicious. So that is what I was referring to, but mainly it comes through social media,
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I think we have the same issue here. It's maybe a little bit different, but just the uncontrolled use of social media allows people to post and repost any kind of messages, and I think it's our biggest risk. I see it as one of the biggest risks we have here. So, how about on the solution side? Does India have a growing cybersecurity industry? Is it its intention to have a growing cybersecurity industry, or what's the situation there in terms of availability? Is it more training that's needed, more technology? What are the things that would sort of address the payments and the information terrorism problems?
Well, right now, the single biggest contribution is from government. See, government has three major agencies, One is they call National Cyber Coordination Center. They are handling this with the collaboration of US companies and agencies. Their job is to really do a study of what is going on, by way of, let's say, malware, social media messages and all, to analyze, whether something wrong is invading our networks and all. So that is what National Cyber Coordination Center is doing. They also serve as a nodal agency for reporting cyber crimes,
Okay.
and they do handle training and research to private agencies also. Then we have, this is more on a proactive side, but then we have a reactive side, thing called National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. So they are mainly making sure that banks, technology, space, defense, these things, these networks are very well protected. They set standards also, and they coordinate with other countries, neighboring countries especially, to see that if there are any common issues, they handle it with joint this thing. So again, I'm sorry I mentioned it as a reactive. This is also a proactive measure. The reactive thing is Computer Emergency Response Team. So that is the third agency of the government. So they actually help all private and government agencies against hacking, phishing, malware, and any cyber attacks in Indian internet domain. So these are the three main things. Now, these service providers are all private. In India, the service infrastructure is all private agencies. So every agency, they market on basis of their firewalls and their protection and encryption and all. But no central standard is still set up for everyone. No rating agencies are there. So that is kind of a challenge, but government does a very good job of even like our private applications. When government is using it, then it is to be hosted on server farm. That is state server farm. So that server farm is, even if it is a cyberspace or no physical computers, it is totally controlled by government, and then very tight security audits are to be performed by government certified agencies. So that is a very robust thing. Anything which even a private agency develops to benefit citizens at large, it is protected by these government securities, cyber security.
That sounds good. You mentioned that you're doing more with software, right? At least in one of your businesses than
Right.
firmware. Do you see that is your company or other Indian companies looking into things like machine learning and artificial intelligence for cybersecurity to be able to actually, analyze cyber terrorism and other kinds of cyber events? Is that something that is of interest? Or?
Well, they are now, during the last 2 years, their awareness has gone up. So when they rent their private server space, okay, like we have Google, Amazon, GoDaddy, there are several US companies, Reddit. So now there are some Indian companies also giving cyberspace. But when they choose their cyberspace to host their software or data, I'm talking about the private companies, they are more aware of what to expect, but they themselves don't really do much for protecting their data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Many
right.
of
Well,
our clients, ask us for, like, they say that, okay, fine, we are using your software and you are hosting our data, but what are you doing with it? What happens if something happens to the data and all? So we have to explain to them what we are doing from our service provider.
right. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts on what risks are out there, or what
Yeah.
solutions? I guess
Yeah.
that's what we're all
Actually,
looking for.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to share with you something which is very closely related to cybersecurity, but more, specific to India. See, that is in addition to education, we need to have cyber sense or discipline. Okay. So that is lacking. Not, people people who use digital payments, people who use social media, and they put their data on, they put their personal data on mobile apps and all. They are not very sensitive about what happens to the information they give. And it is very difficult to educate them, like in paper age, like last year or the year before, if I have to apply for a loan or a credit card, the bank person says that okay, there are 40 cross marks, just initial, put your initial at every cross marks, so I can't really read where I sign. Now that has become more difficult in case of cyberspace, because they don't even see that, they just see that whatever is there I agree with. So that awareness is lacking. Another thing is we freely exchange pen drives, even today. And in case of government things, typical officer who is having the authority to make a judgment is 45-year plus old. Okay. And what happens is that person is not very computer literate. So they freely give their passwords. So, and even in case of our ERP, we have like one user, five user, 20 user, 100 user. Just to save the cost of users, they buy one user and then they spread to everyone. So that these kind of awareness is not there. And one more thing, like OTP, one-time password. One-time password has become very common now, even in government as well as in private sector. So people don't really feel hesitant in giving that one-time password. And there are many software applications which when they send one-time password, they don't really make the recipient feel that they are really doing, endangering their own, they're risking by giving this. They write it in a very nice way that now your things are approved and your registration number is so and so, instead of saying that it is a one-time password. So these kind of things are more, sensitive to India, I'm feeling. And one more thing I would like to add is here the information on paper is considered supreme. For example, if someone is of a special caste who is given benefit like scheduled caste and scheduled tribe and all, see, there is an information existing in computer where the judgment was made that this person belongs to this special caste, and then they receive benefit all through their life. But the certification of that person belonging to that tribe is paper. Now that paper is generated through the computer program, but we have been finding lot of cybercrime issues where between the computer data and print, some vague things are, involving, and misprints are, coming out, and that becomes their lifetime record. They get jobs, promotions, everything on basis of those papers. And there is no cross verification in the server in most cases.
Thank you.
So,
That's very interesting. We have some of the same problems with awareness and paper records versus digital records, and it's so easy to change digital records. So
right.
anyway, thank you so much for spending the time. And I know we just kind of scratched the surface of what's happening in India, but I'm sure it's going to be insightful for all of our listeners, Haren. And thank you so much, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon and kind of get an update on what's going on. So have a good evening.
Yeah. Good morning and have a good day. I enjoyed our interaction. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks a lot.